And welcome back. The 17th Annual Fiber Art Show is one of the Pahrump Arts Council's most attended events of the year. The show was held at the Pahrump Nugget last Friday through Sunday. We spoke to the event chairperson, Joyce Higginbotham.
This is the 17th year of our Quilt and Fiber Art Show, and we have grown so much. We are really proud. We have 110 entries this year, 72 quilts and 38 various needlework entries, and our work has just grown. The quilters and all of the needleworkers have increased their abilities and their skills. We had our judging last week, and the judges said the quality is so much better. So we're really proud of our ladies, and we make our own award ribbons.
This show brings in people from all around.
I am amazed. Our guest book has people from surrounding states. We've had people from Saskatchewan, from Michigan. We get people from Arizona, California, Oregon. And so we are attracting people from all over the West and even beyond.
How many quilts were actually entered into this?
72 quilts this year, and they will range from, I think the smallest is perhaps 18 inches square, and the largest ones are like that are king-size quilts.
A bunch of different vendors too as well.
We have 13 vendors this year. This is the most we have ever had. We are excited. We have a vendor from Oceanside, California. We have vendors from Las Vegas. We have a lot of local vendors, and they've done very well at the show.
And they get to sell their wares here. Some unique gift items for people too as well.
This is a great place to do your shopping. You know, you don't just think of Christmas. You have birthdays and anniversaries and special events all throughout the year. So it's a terrific place. A lot of them are one-of-a-kind items that you can't find anywhere else. And it's not just a craft show. I mean, there's a lot of quilting things here, and so we have a wide range.
There's lots of different quilting groups.
We have what's called the Shadow Mountain Quilters. We are a guild of, I think we're up to 106 members. We meet once a week at the Rood Center on Thursday mornings from 9 to noon. And we have classes, and we always have show and tell, and we have just a really great time. We have a silent auction here at the show, and the money from the silent auction goes to fund our education.
If people want to find out more about that, how can they do that?
They can call the PAC office, or they can call me at 775-751-4944, Joyce Higginbotham. And I'm in charge of the show, but also I'm on the executive committee for the guild. And so I'm always happy to talk to anyone interested in quilting.
Thank you so much.
Not only quilting, but some of our ladies do not quilt. They come and they knit, they crochet, they embroider. So it's fiber arts. It's not just quilting. So we welcome everyone. And Healthcare Partners cardiologist Dr. Eric speaks about the early signs of heart attack, which differ in men and women.
The most important thing people need to know about a heart attack when it's happening is that the sooner care is gotten, the better they're going to do. And we actually have national standards now for the time from the onset of symptoms to the time the artery that's clogged and causing the heart attack is treated. That's 90 minutes. Well, isn't it interesting that with women, the average wait time before they even alert emergency medical services is 4 hours, and with men, it's 3 hours. So a huge amount of the time that could have been spent getting the care is wasted in terms of the person becoming aware enough that they're actually having a heart attack. Part of the problem is that the symptoms are not obvious much of the time. For example, unfortunately, one of the first major symptoms of a heart attack is cardiac arrest, and about a half of people can die as their first symptom. Now, when interviews are done with family members or people who were with them when that happened, they can find out that there were some symptoms invariably preceding the fatal event. But putting those aside, the ones that actually survived to get to the emergency room and get care, yes, the symptoms are not what people often think them to be. This crushing discomfort in the chest that rings the alarm bell for the person, that's not even one of the top 5 symptoms in women. The number one symptom in women prior to having an actual heart attack is just a general sense of dis-ease or fatigue or unwellness. Unfortunately, that's a broad spectrum of not feeling well. So every person who's tired and just not feeling their usual self isn't leading up to a heart attack, But the flip side is that that is the most common symptom preceding a heart attack in women.
What's some of the other symptoms?
Nausea, vomiting is one of the top 5. Sleep disturbance, interestingly, is one of the top 5.
So men, what are their typical symptoms?
Well, none of those are in the top 5 for men, interestingly. With them, it's more of the textbook or television idea of what a heart attack is. A pressure-like sensation in the chest, often going into the neck, into the jaw, into the teeth, with radiation into the arm. This can last 10 or 15 minutes as a warning symptom and then go away. And it might go away for hours or a day or two before coming back.
We continue our conversation with cardiologist Dr. Tally Eric.
The question of screening, who's at risk and who should be screened. So one way to think about it is this way. If a 35-year-old woman shows up with these symptoms, should we be thinking about a heart attack? Should they be thinking about it? The answer is no. Why? Because they're very low risk to have a heart attack. Almost no 35-year-old women ever have heart attacks. Whereas if it's a 75-year-old person, say, who has 2 family members that died at a young age before 60, who has high cholesterol and is on treatment for that, maybe is diabetic and smokes, that's a high-risk person for heart disease. If they have those symptoms, that has to be taken seriously, and it's a heart symptom until proven otherwise.
Is there a schedule that a person should have of occasionally getting these kinds of screenings?
Well, this is the subject of a lot of discussion, and the criteria for screening testing has been revised in the past year. So routine screening with advanced testing like stress tests no longer recommended because most people have normal tests, and the ones that have abnormal tests usually don't have heart disease anyway. So you have to choose very carefully who gets a screening test. There has to be a high, as we call it, index of suspicion or high risk factor profile before doing screening testing in people who have no symptoms. There's far more to be gained by treating the risk factors than going on a fishing expedition looking for silent disease.
Well, it's been a crazy tax season. We're going to speak to Kay with Jackson Hewitt with your tax tip of the week.
Tax Tip of the Week is brought to you by Jackson Hewitt Tax Services.
Good morning, it's Kay with this week's Jackson Hewitt Tax Tip. Well, I know you're all anxious to get those tax returns filed, as we all are. Whether it's good news or whether it's bad news, we'd like to know where we stand. But I can't encourage you enough to wait until you have all of your information. If you worked a job and only worked a few weeks and made a few dollars and think that you can just file your tax return without waiting for that W-2, you're wrong. Your tax return needs to be complete. Same thing with interest you've earned through the bank or any number of places. You might have a small dividend that came to you during the year that maybe you've forgotten about. You need to make sure you have all of your documents before you file your taxes. You can file an amended return, but the IRS might look at that and say, why didn't they wait and do everything all at once? We don't want the IRS questioning any return. So I just want to encourage you to have all of your documents ready and file your return when it's complete. Thanks for listening. It's Kay with this week's Jackson Hewitt Tax Tip.
Tax Tip of the Week is brought to you by Jackson Hewitt Tax Services.
Who cut a ribbon this week with the Pahrump Valley Chamber of Commerce? We'll tell you when we come back from this break.